Welcome to the Wise Words of Motivation channel. Under the title, Control Your Reactions. Marcus Aurelius said that man is great not because he controls circumstances, but because he controls himself. Have you ever felt that your feelings bypass you and push you towards decisions that you may regret later? In a world full of challenges and pressures, understanding how to control our emotions is more important than ever. But what if you were able to turn every emotion into a force? We will take you on a deep exploration trip to the world of Stoicism, where we will show you a strip of refined habits. Each habit will reveal to you a new side of yourself and will enhance your ability to act wisely and calmly in every situation. If you find this video useful, don't forget to give it likes and share your opinion in the comments box. We want to hear your thoughts and experiences about how to control your emotions and apply these habits in your life. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so that everything new about how to enhance your life sustainably. Get ready to discover how you can transform. Every day is an opportunity for growth and excellence. Let's start now. This journey towards a stoic life. The nature of emotions. Emotions are an integral part of our human experience. It's like the waves of the sea, come and go, blowing hard sometimes and gently other times, but in the end it's part of our daily life and plays a big role in how we interact with the world. Have you ever thought how the same situation can or insult, but where does this feeling come from? It's not from the words themselves, but from the story we tell ourselves about what this comment means. We may think that it is an attack on our dignity, or we may see in it confirmation of self-fears, but the truth is that emotions do not come from the comment, but from our interpretation of it. It is important to understand that emotions are not good or bad by nature, but simply signals an external force that we cannot control. But the fact is that we always have the option: we can allow. Here lies the essence of Stoic philosophy. Controlling emotions does not mean ignoring them, but means realizing them, understanding them more deeply, and using them as a guide instead of being a leader. Emotions like fire can warm or burn us. Controlling emotions about using this energy positively instead of devouring it. When we understand that emotions are the result of perceptions, we begin to regain control. Remember, the more aware you are of the nature of your emotions, the more free you are to choosing your actions. At the end of this video, you will begin to see emotions as tools, not judgments, tools that can help you understand yourself more deeply and communicate with the world more effectively. This is not an easy journey, but one of the most empowering journeys you can take. And now let's continue this journey towards Stoic wisdom and discover how we can control our emotions. And emotions are not just fleeting feelings that can be easily ignored or discarded. They consider emotions as a force to be understood. In other words, Stoicism teaches us to wonder whether the problem is really in what happened or in how we see what happened. Take for example the story of the Stoic philosopher Zeno. Was a successful merchant but lost all his wealth in a sea accident. Instead of collapsing under the weight of grief, Zeno saw in this incident an opportunity to grow and learn. An important lesson about loss and self-control is a vivid example of how to turn negative emotions into an opportunity to learn and improve. Not the events that the Stoics see that negative emotions such as anger, sadness, and anxiety are signs of loss of control and are not just natural reactions. Emotions in their eyes resemble waves, but they do not come out of nowhere. They are the result of interaction with our thoughts and beliefs. The philosopher Epictetus says we are offended not because of the actions themselves, but because of our opinions about those. Stoicism invites us to reconsider the relationship between our thoughts. If we are able to differentiate between our thoughts and reality, we will be closer to controlling our feelings and turning them into actions based on wisdom and moderation. This leads us to the Stoicism's deep concept of indifference, favored by the response of Inverness. Stoics teach us that some things like wealth and health are preferable but not necessary for happiness. Similarly, emotions are not necessary for wise. We can prefer to be in a positive state, but if we are not, it does not mean that happiness and tranquility should fade away. This does not mean dehumanization or emotional coldness, but it means developing a deeper and more stable perspective towards life. Seneca says we face the storms of life the same way we face the wind. We cannot change the direction of the wind, but we can adjust my sails. Stoics teach us to look at emotions as indicators that reveal something deeper inside us, maybe about our fears or aspirations. But they are not the absolute facts. It's an opportunity to look at, to understand ourselves better and to control our reactions. To the power of choice. We are faced at every moment of our life with an endless series of choices, some of which seem simple, like what to eat for dinner. Others are deep and complex, like how to respond to an insult or how to deal with the loss of a loved one. And in each case there is one thing that remains constant, that we are not a family of emotions or our circumstances. We have the ability to always choose, even in the most difficult times. It may seem that when we face a challenge, the majority of us tend to react based on old emotional programming. Those patterns that have formed over the years may go back to an experience in childhood or to a deep-rooted fear of failure, but when we realize these patterns, we begin to regain control. Says Epictetus, it is not the things that bother us, but our opinions about those things, and here the power of choice arises. We can choose to look at our challenges as opportunities for growth, not as an obstacle. It is a lifestyle. To choose it means taking responsibility for yourself, your thoughts and emotions, and imagine that you are in the midst of an intense dialogue with someone. You feel anger escalating and a sharp response is ready on the tip of your tongue. At that moment the choice seems obvious, either to reciprocate or choose to calm down and take a step back. The second option is not easy, but it is a choice, and it expresses an invaluable inner strength. This is the choice that Marcus Aurelius. With a choice in mind, life takes on a new dimension. Instead, you live in the present, ready to choose what serves you and what is in line with your true values. Stoicism teaches us that the real power comes from within, from a person's ability to control himself and not in external circumstances. At the end of this chapter, remember that choice is a gift, and it is a power that no one can take away from you. When you realize that you always have a choice, free from the constraints of negative emotions, and become the real leader of your life. Practical techniques for choosing actions. You now know that controlling emotions begins to understand their nature, but the question, the most important, is how we can applying this knowledge in practice in our daily life, how to turn theory into actions that enable us to make conscious decisions in line with our values regardless of the emotions that overwhelm us at the moment. In this chapter we will review practical and proven techniques that help you choose your actions wisely instead of being just an automatic reaction. These techniques are not just philosophical tools, but to start reviewing your day, your thoughts and reactions. Set aside a few minutes each. Daily meditation is a powerful tool that helps you realize that every day is a new opportunity for growth and development. We do not improve through luck, but through conscious action. Secondly, emotional distancing, standing on neutrality. When you are overwhelmed by emotions, it is easy to drift with it like a paper drifts in the wind, but Stoics learn the art of emotional distancing, which is the ability to stand on neutrality and look at the situation from an external perspective. When you feel angry or sad, stop for a moment and imagine that you are watching yourself as a third party. What is happening? Talking about death may seem a dark thing, but it is one of the most powerful Stoic tools for reassessing priorities and controlling emotions. The idea is not in the fear of death, but in remembering the fragility of life. When you remember that your life is short and that every day is a gift, the tension around small things fades and becomes more capable of make decisions that reflect your true values instead of being held hostage. One of the most powerful Stoic ideas is to distinguish between what you can and cannot control, the key to freedom. One of the most powerful Stoic ideas is to distinguish between what is under your control and what does not happen. How many times we are busy with things beyond our control, whether other people's decisions, the past, the future. Stoics focus only on what they can control, their actions, their reactions, their thoughts. When you realize this distinction, you become less prone to anger and frustration, because you simply don't waste your energy on what you can't change. The decision to stop and ask yourself, is this in line with your values? They encourage you to always carry the anchor of values, to be calm in the stormy sea of life. These anchors remind you of what is really important and help you make decisions in line with your deep self, even when emotions are trying to pull you away. Mental exercise on difficult situations, preparing for battle before it happens. Stoics practice mental exercise where they imagine difficult scenarios before they happen. How will you react if you encounter a problem at work? How will you behave if you are criticized? This mental exercise makes you ready to face challenges wisely and calmly, because it gives you the opportunity to test your reactions without the pressure of reality. Self-analysis at the moment is an assessment tool. Real time is when you feel that emotions start to take control of you. Use the technique of self-analysis in the moment. Ask yourself, what I'm feeling right now. Why am I feeling this way? Is my reaction based on reality or on my fears and thoughts? This analysis is not just a question, it's a key that brings you back into control of your actions. Deliberation before response Choose wisely who surround yourself with them and stay away from people or situations that push you towards negativity and emotion. Part of controlling emotions is controlling external factors that affect you, and this sometimes requires making bold decisions to protect yourself and your inner peace. Converting emotions into positive energy, redirecting emotions to serve you. Strong emotions such as anger or fear can be tremendous energy sources instead from letting these feelings destroy you. Learning how to bring back. Directing it towards the goals of building. Anger can be an impetus for change, and fear can motivate you to prepare better. When you reformulate your feelings and direct them towards positive actions that turn from a victim of your emotions to a leader of your life. The path to self-control. That emotion control techniques are not just ideas you read, but are practices lived. In the coming chapters we will track these techniques on a daily basis to help you move from understanding to application and from emotion to balance. The benefits of choosing actions over emotions. Have you ever felt a deep sense of regret after making a decision based on a moment of anger or fear? Maybe you said something that could not be withdrawn or made a fateful decision under the influence of emotion. When we let our feelings lead our lives, we are like a ship without a rudder. Waves of emotions crash in every direction. But what if you could steer that ship? What if you could choose your course regardless of the emotional weather around you? This is the essence of the benefits that come from choosing your actions rationally instead of being driven by your stoic emotions. They affect every aspect of your life. Inner calm. The first obvious benefit is inner calm. When you are able to, no one can disturb your soul unless you allow him to. Marcus Aurelius. This inner strength comes from the knowledge that you have control over things, that you are able to choose your reactions and no one else can take that away from you. This calm is the barrier wall that protects you from the emotional chaos experienced by others. Real freedom. Secondly, choosing your actions over emotions gives you a kind of freedom. The truth is that freedom is not in doing what you want without limits, but in controlling what he does. The moment you realize that your emotions are nothing more than signals that can be directed, you will find that you have a power that you have never imagined before. Healthy relationships. Third, control over your actions strengthens your relationships with others. How will your relationships look if you no longer feel the need to respond negatively to criticism, or if you do not let feelings of jealousy and doubt? People who choose their actions carefully find that their relationships become more balanced and peaceful, that they are able to communicate clearly, resolve conflicts without escalation, and, most importantly, be a positive role model for others. Psychological stability. It does not stop only at relationships, but extends to general psychological stability. Uncontrolled emotions make us live in a constant cycle of stress and anxiety, but when you control your reactions, the intensity of these disorders decreases. You become less prone to falling into the trap of excessive anxiety or depression resulting from a feeling of powerlessness. You have the ability to face challenges with a strong and coherent psychological success. Professional, personal, and on a practical level, people who control in their actions, they achieve greater professional and personal successes. When be calm and thoughtful, make better decisions that focus on long-term goals and avoid impulsive decisions that may hinder your progress. Think about great leaders and successful entrepreneurs. Many of them are characterized by their ability to make right decisions even in the most difficult circumstances, because they do not let their emotions lead them. Feeling satisfied and able to adapt. Finally, taking your actions based on your values, not your emotions, creates a deep sense of satisfaction. This satisfaction is not just momentary happiness, but a feeling of living according to a goal. Listen when you know that you are acting in line with who you really are and not dictated by fleeting anger or fleeting joy. You become more able to adapt to life changes. You may face challenges that may sometimes fall, but you will know that every action you do is a thoughtful choice that reflects your true values. If the choice is clear, you can let your emotions lead your life in unexpected directions, or you can choose your actions consciously and calmly. Controlling actions is the real power, and living according to this principle can change your IT's style. When we talk about controlling emotions, we are not talking about an ideal world without problems and challenges, but we are talking about the reality that we face daily, where our emotions collide with pressures, temptations, and internal conflicts. In this chapter, we will address the common challenges that you face while seeking to achieve emotional control, and we will give you effective strategies to overcome them. First, in making a rash decision, these temptations are as strong as. Remember that controlling reactions is not just a matter of willpower, but it is the art of awareness and meditation. Secondly, The difficulty of controlling anger. Anger is a powerful emotion that can control us quickly if we are not aware of our reactions. People often feel regret after moments of anger because this feeling pushes them to make decisions that are not calculated. How you can control your anger. Rely on the practice of mental meditation is almost effective when you notice the challenge of dealing with anxiety. Anxiety is a common feeling that can greatly affect our ability to make rational decisions. Anxiety can come from thinking about the future or from fear of failure. To face anxiety, try the disassembly technique. Fear of failure can prevent us from taking steps towards achieving our goals. This fear can be a constraint that affects our ability to act with confidence. To face this fear, rely on the technique of visualizing success. Imagine yourself achieving success and overcoming the challenges facing you. This exercise helps to build confidence in your abilities and reduces anxiety about failure. Examples from real life. In order to realize the power of Stoic philosophy in our daily lives, it is useful to consider examples from real life that embody their deep applications. These stories. Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison for his struggle against apartheid in the South Africa. During those long years of imprisonment, Mandela could have succumbed to anger and hatred, but instead used his ordeal as opportunities to develop his inner strength and vision. He did not allow Mongolia. He invested prison time in building strategies and the ability to deal with intolerance and injustice with inner peace. When he got out of prison, it was not his hatred for the system that led him, but his determination for peace and reconciliation through his deep understanding of the nature of emotions and how to control them. Mandela managed to turn difficulties into opportunities to build a new nation. Viktor Frankl, hope in the face of horror. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and survivor of the Nazi Holocaust, is another example. Thanks to his personal philosophy and deep understanding of emotions, Frankl managed to maintain his faith in hope and meaning even in the darkest circumstances. Instead of succumbing to the feelings of Elias, he learned how to find hope and retain control over his reactions. His story inspires us to find meaning even in the most difficult times, and that we can control our feelings by choosing our take. For example, Thomas Edison, the inventor of the electric lamp. Edison suffered from the failure of many experiments before he achieved success. In light of repeated failures, it was easy to succumb to frustration and despair. But instead, Edison chose to see every failure as a lesson and every unsuccessful experience as a step toward success. Learning how negative emotions like failure can be a motivation for perseverance instead of an obstacle. Thanks to this orientation, he became one of the greatest inventors in history. Mother Teresa, service and dedication. Mother Teresa believes that her actions are based on a greater value than just. In these stories, we find that controlling emotions is not a matter of restricting feelings, but rather it is an ability to turn them into tools that enable us to make better decisions and achieve greater goals, and we can all learn from these examples. Let's continue this endeavor towards a deeper understanding of the application of Stoicism in our lives. We reveal how we can strengthen our control over our emotions to live a life full of meaning and strong will. Scientific support. In our modern world, where scientific discoveries are accelerating daily, we find that the teachings of ancient philosophy such as Stoicism converge with the scientific evidence that supports it. Is not just philosophical speculation, but there are strong evidence proving that the Stoic principles are not only an outdated wisdom, but a scientific basis that achieves significant improvements in our daily lives. In this chapter, we will dive into how modern science supports the concepts of Stoicism, making it more convincing and appropriate for our current era. Our life is remarkably controlled by emotions and the brain. First, let's look at the relationship between emotions and brain functions. Neurological research has proven that emotions originate in the area of the brain called the amygdala, which is responsible for the immediate response to emotional situations. But there is another area known as the prefrontal cortex that plays a crucial role in evaluating emotions and making rational decisions. This is where conscious control occurs. Studies show that exercises that enhance attention and concentration, such as meditation, strengthen the prefrontal cortex and help regulate emotional responses. Meditation and mindfulness. Meditation is one of the methods that enhance the ability of the cortex frontality of regulation of emotions. Studies show that meditation not only changes how the brain processes emotions, but also improves mental performance in general. This is completely in line with the idea of the Stoics about the importance of self-control to improve the quality of life. Self-awareness and control emotions. Recent research indicates that people who possess deep self-awareness are able to deal with their feelings more effectively. Self-awareness, which is enhanced through Stoic techniques such as meditation and reflection. One of the other areas supported by scientific research is how individuals respond to stress. Studies confirm that people who follow emotion control techniques such as those offered by Stoicism show a better response to stress. That controlling the emotional response instead of indulging in feelings of anxiety and anger can reduce the levels of anxiety and anger in the body, and that people who cortisol. Through these studies, we find that the principles presented by sophisticated philosophers thousands of years ago are in line with what modern science proves, that concepts such as self-awareness, meditation, and separating oneself from emotion are not just philosophical principles, but are scientifically approved strategies to improve the quality of life. So how can you use this knowledge in your daily life? Simply by applying these scientifically supported principles, you can enhance your ability to manage your emotions better and achieve positive results in various aspects of your life. Follow us at. In this chapter we will unveil 10 gallery habits that can transform your life from emotional chaos to inner calm. These habits are not just techniques, but are lifestyles. AI